Hello everyone, and welcome back to Satisfactory. Last time we completed phase 2 after doing a steelworks and a little motor factory. But now we have a lot to get through. A whole bunch of new milestones for us to complete. So, what are we doing today? Well, I want the jetpack, because I want to be able to fly, because it will make building all the new stuff, tier 6 and petroleum power, a lot easier if I have better mobility, and it's just convenient. So, jetpack. That's really easy though. What's harder is fueling your jetpack. So, we're also going to be getting fluid packaging, and we're going to be setting up a little place that makes packaged liquid biofuel, which is possibly a weird choice, but those of you who don't know and ask, oh, why don't you just use fuel? Fuel is renewable, biofuel is not, because you need biomass, this stuff, to make biofuel. Well, the reason is because packaged liquid biofuel is actually slightly stronger than packaged turbo fuel in terms of the actual height you can get off it, except it burns for a very long time. So basically what it means is it's basically a substitute for the hover pack, because you can stay in the air for a very, very long time, but you can get high if you need to. So that's why I've chosen to do that. That might be it, because this week I have been a bit busier than I am normally, so I haven't been able to play Satisfactory as much because of stuff. Yeah, stuff. So that might be it, but I'll see. But for now, we just need to unlock those milestones. However, that is easier said than done though, because we need plastic to unlock milestones, and plus I just want to get it done. So what we will be doing is temporarily going and making a little plastic and rubber setup, because as soon as we have those, then that's just really convenient, and plus we will be able to unlock Logistics Mark 4 as well. So, what is the agenda? So, this is our to-do list. Number 1, get our temporary plastic and rubber. Number 2, just get Logistics Mark 4 for quality of life. And number 3, biofuel. That is currently the list for now, but I don't want to add too many things because then it's overwhelming. So, number 1, plastic and rubber. So we have to go and find a spot with oil. But to do that, we're going to need to unlock oil processing. So, I'm going to need to run and get all these materials. Okay, I am back with all of the things. So I'm just going to put those in, and bam, oil processing. So, that is the first half of number 1. Now, where is oil? I believe it should be over there, maybe. Or there. Map, help me out. And it should be... You're really going down there. Okay. Well, that's not where I was thinking. I was thinking a little more like these. Now we can go down there, but over here is prettier. And I like building long trains, so when we get trains we can build a really, really long train line all the way over here, and it'll be really scenic and really cool. So yeah, rule of cool always applies. So I'm going to run all the way over there and just scout out what's going on. Okay, I am here directly on the oil node, that I first saw. And this is the idea. We're just going to have 5 refineries doing rubber and 5 refineries doing plastic. And then what I'm going to do is so this is another step. I'm going to go back to the hub and unlock petroleum power. And then we can have the heavy oil residue turn into fuel. And then burn some power over here so it can run itself, so we don't have to drag power lines over here just yet. Hey, I'm from the future, and this was a really stupid thing to say, so I'm editing myself. I do realise this later on, but I'm just going to pause and just say, I understand that this is stupid. I know that I will need to drag the power lines anyway, because the refineries won't make any heavy oil residue if they don't have power, so I can't start them on something that hasn't happened yet, right? I know that now, but let's just let him live in peace, okay? Let him have this. So that is the plan, but I have run out of incased industrial beams and copper sheets, as you can see, so I need to run and get more of those, which is not very convenient because it's very far away, but you know, what can you do? So annoyingly, actually, you do need plastic and rubber to unlock the power, so I can't just turn this on by the fuel from the end, which I'm now realising as I was speaking wouldn't work anyway because I'd need it to run to get the heavy oil residue to make the fuel. But never mind, I just have to now power, which is not terrible, but it's very inconvenient, especially when there's water, because every time you go in the water it starts building, and if you're not building connected to it, then it just complains. So I have to just kind of jump across the water like this. Never mind, not the end of the world, but this might take a while, so yippee. But okay, when this is on, that will be making heavy oil residue, but most importantly I'll be actually making plastic and rubber, so I can collect that and then go back and unlock the power and then build refineries to turn it into fuel, burn that, and then we've dealt with the byproduct and it's all good. And then that will be step 1 done and dusted. Because I was going back and forth so much, I actually decided to just unlock the zip line in the Caterium tree of the MAM, because since we have the actual like pylons now, you don't have to jump between the power lines, it will just drift you across, so it's really convenient to use. So I thought that was a good call. And while I was there, I also got the Xeno Basher, just as a little extra oomph. Okay, I have finished the power lines. It is running partially, and I grabbed the zip line very quickly just so I could get over there faster. But now that we have what we need, we should be able to unlock petroleum power. Yep. And now we will be able to actually get rid of the heavy oil residue so we can have a constant supply of plastic and give ourselves a little power boost, which will be very good. So if I just do some quick maths here, now I have to go back and set up the system that will make the heavy oil residue into fuel and then burn it. And then we can get logistics Mark 4 and then biofuel. So 7.5 generators, yep. Alright. Okay, I have brought the power over and put together the belts and the pipes, but I need to build the fuel refineries and the generators first before it will actually start. So you can see it's making stuff, but that's just because the pipes added a little bit of extra capacity, but they're about to get full. So yeah, this one's stalled, and they'll all eventually do that. So now gotta... You... Okay, I am back with the steel pipes, so we can do this. Residual fuel. 60 heavy oil residue. This side making 10 per minute on each of them, so 50. And like we checked before, this side making 20 in each one, so that's 100. 150. That is 2.5 refineries, so I should just be able to pull this and out where I can actually fit it and it doesn't go into rocks. I could just do the one refinery, to be honest, with power shards. I think I'm going to do that, yeah. So if we nudge that over there, line it up with the foundation edge, residual fuel, wham, and then pipeline junction. And then we do this. This is probably too long. Ah no, the water. That was fun. Man, it's annoying building around water. Okay. Corner. Cool. Let's try that. Oh, hello. Inventory getting over full there, I think. But we got this now. And if I put that there, then I should be able to maybe... Yes! Fuel! We have fuel. So now I need to build these 5, which means I will need a bit more space. Alright, so we have now completed step 1 of today's project. We have a little power boost from fuel and plastic and rubber automated temporarily. I did pretty it up a little bit with customization and I just think this looks really nice. But it will be going next episode. But for the meantime, it gets the job done. So, if we bounce on over to our main base, then we can have a look at our to-do list again. So, we have now done plastic and rubber off the list. So, number 2, I wrote down as Logistics Mark IV, but I've now expanded it to get the milestones. So, we're going to need to unlock Logistics Mark IV, fluid packaging. Yeah, we can get industrial manufacturing. We can also get railways. Can't get signaling. Can't get any of these later ones yet, but we can get all of these ones. So, I'm going to be basically just doing a lot of supply runs, so this is going to be very boring, so I'm just going to cut until they're all done. As part of that, I actually decided to just get a couple more things hooked up to the dimensional depot so I don't have to do as many supply runs. And it took a lot of time and patience, but I did get all of the milestones that we can at this point, because the future ones need computers and heavy modular frames, and we are not even close to automating those yet. If we are going to be making liquid biofuel, I'm going to blueprint just something so that I can put down all the constructors, because the way this is going to work may seem familiar to some people, and that's because it is, but I'm going to have a constructor, right, but that's going to be up above, but the idea is I'm going to have a constructor making all of this and all of the... So I did that thing again where I just rambled and rambled and rambled, and it made sense at the time, but I have no idea what I was talking about in hindsight, so I can't even like translate it. I can't even do like a little cut-in or like subtitles to be like, this is what I meant. I honestly have no clue what any of it means, so I'm just gonna go to when the blueprint's done, because that is a tangible thing that makes sense. 3, 2, 1. Okay, this is the current version, subject to change, of the blueprint. So the idea is we're going to run all of the things that we want to put into the constructors, and that will be like leaves, wood, mycelia, alien remains, and run them all along there. They go into this container, and then they go into a constructor, which will be making whatever they need to be turned into. So if it's leaves, it goes directly into biomass, but if it's the alien stuff, it needs to go into the protein and then it gets stored. So the product will then come out and go into there, where it will join everything else along a big line, and then eventually get round to being... Eventually, after that, it will go to a constructor that will be making solid biofuel out of all the biomass that these will be making, and then it will go into a refinery with a little bit of water to make liquid biofuel. And then we get onto the reason I need to keep scanning, is that I want empty canisters so that I can use the packager for packaged liquid biofuel. Now I could make the canisters with plastic, but that is irritating if I'm going to tear down the current plastic setup instantly. And also it's a really, really small amount of plastic. Like, if we just look, the constructor makes 60 per minute, that's 30 plastic. So we're only going to be using 30 plastic overall, that's like nothing. So it's not really worth that. So instead, I want to use the alternate coated iron canisters, I think is what it's called. And it's where we use copper sheets and iron plates to make canisters instead of plastic. And that's just a convenience thing. I am getting to the point where I feel like I might have to go and get more hard drives. But that's okay, because we're also going to need some summer sloops. Why do you need summer sloops? Well, this whole thing makes infinitely more biofuel, if you think about it, if you summer sloop it. So, let's think about one hog protein, right? Just to demonstrate how much more you can get from the biofuel. Not bad. Just to demonstrate how much more you can get from the summer sloop. So, one remain turns into one protein, but this time it turns into 2 proteins. And then the 2 proteins, each of those, 1 protein to 100 biomass, that's 1 protein to 200, and there's 2 of them, so that's 400 biomass. And then the solid biofuel, if we sloop that, that's 8 to 4, so it's half, but instead it's straight on, so we get 400 solid biofuel. And then this is 90 to 60, so that's a loss of a third. And then we take 400 solid biofuel in the ratio of 90 to 120 if we sloop this. It's a lot, okay? It's a lot. And that will basically mean we never have to worry about jetpack fuel ever again, and I can use it to fuel vehicles. Because since we have so much, we can just cart it off in tractors and distribute it and fuel it, because I think we have basically tapped the coal node over there in terms of fueling. I think those 4 is probably about the limit it can do. So we need a new fuel. So that's the secondary reason we're doing the liquid biofuel. But now this is done, I'm just standing around hoping and praying that I get the hard drive that I want. I'm now just going to have a look and figure out how many summer sloops we actually need, and then probably go and get those to save time, because I'm likely going to need more hard drives as well at this point. But so I'm going to go and figure out how many summer sloops I need and then go and get them. Hey, I was out getting more summer sloops and it just came up. That's great. Okay. Now I can actually go and make it, because I have had a very successful hunt in the desert here. Look at this. 9 Mercer spheres and 12 summer sloops, and a bunch of slugs as well. So, I guess I will just head back by taking the express route.
Fixit property is not allowed to leave
That's a lot of stuff now. Right, I should save this. I haven't actually saved this yet. Now we have this. Now let's just see what they look like all lined up together. Come on. Oh, it's across. Wait, what? What? How is it not allowed in? It was literally... That's really weird. Where's it overlapping? Weird. Okay. I guess I'll have to see what they look like lined up out here. That was a bit far. But wowee. Look at that. Imagine that all closed in. That'll look awesome. Maybe I should have walkways down there. No, yeah, I'm updating the blueprint. I want walkways down there. Alright, I added a little walkway with these red lights, so it'll be darker down here, or it'll feel darker, and it's a little less sci-fi, I think, than the neon blue white light, you know? But now it is done for good. I must search for the location in which we will construct this, because I still haven't found a good one. So that would be nice if I could find a good one, you know. Off I go again on the hunt. I've actually been doing some thinking about the plan, and I've decided to not actually use the coated iron canister. Yeah, I know, I went on that whole thing about getting all the hard drives, but it was still worth it. We still got a bunch of loot. But just looking at it, there's not really anywhere that has the, nearby at least, there's some on the other side of the map, but there's nowhere here that has like free normal or impure copper and iron nodes next to each other, apart from literally right here, but this is taken and I'm going to need this for the foreseeable future. So I'm just going to be using the base recipe, I think. Like, I just did a little check, and 60, 45 oil, I'm going to change that up to make it a little more worthwhile and make it so I'm going to make 120 empty canisters, and that'll be 120 biofuel. Which is really just it doesn't actually change the production rate, it just will change how fast it comes through. But yeah, since we don't have that bottleneck anymore, of location not cooperating, now we just need somewhere with oil. And we have a lot of oil, so I just need to find an impure node over there, where our plastic and rubber is, and get to work. For the location, I have picked this lovely looking spot, honestly. Like, this biome is really cool looking anyway, but this spot in particular with like the waterfall and all that in the background, this spot's really cool. We're not going to be using that one's a normal, and so it'd be more of a waste than just using this impure one that I'm getting my feet all in. No, I just avoided it actually. Lucky me. Anyway, this is the location. I might build out over, I'm going to build out over the water a bit, but I don't want to take over all of it because the water is pretty. And I care about aesthetics in my environmental destruction game. So I ran out of building materials, and then I got distracted and ended up making a train blueprint. Because of course. But I really like how it turned out. We've got the hypertube through the center. But it's fairly simple overall, but I just really like it. I just think it's neat. But it wasn't what I was doing. What I was doing was I was grabbing more copper sheets because I ran out. So I'm going to go get back on track now. And actually build what I'm supposed to be doing. Crazy concept. Okay, I have spent a while going for the aesthetics because it's a very simple building. So I felt like I could take a long time on the aesthetics. I'll get to this at some point, but I can't do anything about it right now. It's immune to the chainsaw. But yeah, this is the packaging. A little bit up here, and you get the empty canisters going out there, and we're burning the fuel, which could almost run that whole thing by itself, but refineries are hungry, so it can't actually run the whole thing by itself, but that doesn't really matter. But anyway, yeah, this is the design right now. Very nice, very nice. I'm going to put a big window on this side here, like this. I guess it wants to go up and down. But the important thing next, the next actual building thing, is to make the refinery and the packages that are actually making and packaging the liquid biofuel so we can use it. Because right now all of this would work. I haven't set the recipes, they're all just on hog protein, but that's fine because there's only 8 of them. But yeah, so the next thing I'm going to do is build around, find a place to put the refinery and the 2 packages, and also more aesthetics. But yeah, right now I like how it's coming along, but it is not finished, so I must continue work post haste. So, with all the machines ready and all the aesthetics done, it was time for a test run. So I just put in all of the hog remains that I had on me, and it all went through the system without a hitch, went to the constructor that it was supposed to go to, and then the biomass made its way up to the refinery, and it was then packaged and started going into all of the bins and then the dimensional depot. And now that we had our fuel, we needed somewhere to put it, so I finally made a jetpack and took it out for a test flight. Well, we've had a very productive episode today. This time, we made temporary rubber and plastic, we got ourselves a jetpack, and we unlocked a bunch of milestones ready for next time, as well as automating, well, semi-automating, packaged liquid biofuel, so we can fly. But next time, we're going to be working on getting enough power to set up some bigger factories that we're going to be making, thanks to unlocking manufacturers and especially refineries, which are always a power struggle. But as always, thank you very much for watching. Like if you liked the video, subscribe if you want to see me again. Comment if you have anything to tell me, anything I missed, anything you liked, didn't like maybe. And I will hopefully see you next time. Bye.